All right, welcome to the Masters in Motion podcast. I'm Jason Grubb. I'm here with Rick Stevenson, and this is episode number 8,006,000 something. I don't know. We're on a good streak here, Rick. This episode is powered by Thirdsy, your go-to for game-changing sleep recovery. Imagine hitting your workouts harder and waking up feeling unstoppable. That's what Thirdsy's PM Recovery Collagen does for me. It's like pre-workout, but for your sleep, fueling your body's active recovery processes without any melatonin or sedatives. Just one scoop before bed supports deeper, more restorative sleep so you can crush your fitness goals. Ready to experience the best rest and recovery? Visit Thirdsy.com and transform your nights into recovery power hours. Thirdsy, because sleep is the ultimate recovery tool. That's THIRDZY.com. Save 20% with code JASONZZZ. Let's get into the show.
I want to guess a number, 67 or 68.
Something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
something somewhere in that range.
We're in the 60s.
So, welcome to this week. We are past all of the semifinals. All of them. They're done. It's been done.
Age group, teenagers, you name it.
Stage is set. Invites are being sent. Now people just have to accept their invitations officially, pay their money.
Yep.
And you've done that, right?
Great email. I print that email off and I save it. I know you teased me about that last time. And you know what? For your eyes, I'll go send you a picture of where I have the first email that I printed off. I'll send that to you tomorrow.
I love it. Yeah, send it. That's very cool. That reminder that, like, hey, I am a games athlete. You know, I bet there's quite a few new games athletes that might listen to our podcast out there where this is their first time.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but for me, it was after I accepted my invitation in 2018 to the CrossFit Games, where I went to go train like the next day or whenever the next week, whenever it was, and I just realized as I was warming up, I was like, wow, I'm a games athlete warming up right now. I'm a games athlete training right now. And I held it loosely in the sense that I actually hadn't been to the games yet, but once you get that invitation, you are now a games athlete. You're not just a semifinal or an age group qualifier athlete. You are a games athlete. Did you have a feeling like that in 2021?
Lifts your spirits up a little bit because you know, I mean, I am probably like many folks that might train early in the morning and that morning comes fast. And if, you know, you don't feel like getting up, but you're like, nope, we've got work to do. This is this is our job for the summer, you know, in addition to other jobs. But this is right. What we're putting ourselves in position for. And I'll tell you, the community reservations were being booked. I know we'll get into that, but it doesn't matter if you had a book to go to Carson back in the day or Madison or now Birmingham. Rental cars, flights, or if you're driving, you're checking how long it's going to take you. Hotel reservations. There was a lot of clicking going through this week.
There are
teams. We'll talk about teams. I mean, just the number of people going to Birmingham. Fans, friends, coaches, supporters. Birmingham, welcome. Going to welcome us.
I've had
wide open arms.
So many people reach out to me on Instagram to ask, you know, where are good places to stay, like good locations, good towns around Birmingham, because there's lots of suburbs that make up Birmingham. And so I've posted to my story a few times, and I can always post again if anyone needs it. Just, you know, message me in some way. But there are in any city, there are places you'd probably rather stay than not stay. So you want to come and have an enjoyable time. I'm 20 minutes from downtown. I was actually driving back from Knoxville semifinals Sunday night, and I was driving by the BJCC, which is the convention center where our CrossFit Games will be. And if I wasn't driving on the highway, I would have taken a picture of the building. Just there it is. Yeah. That's where it is. But I was driving on the highway and decided that would be a poor choice at that moment to do with my phone. But we do have some updates.
I would have hit you up for spots to stay, believe me. But I took the easy way out and I grabbed a room attached to the venue.
Smart.
That's where I held up. Having never been there. B, I don't think a big entourage is coming with me. So I just need to be, I can't be fiddling around with driving all over God's green earth down there. I need to keep things
Yeah.
simple, and we'll talk about preparation in future episodes. I
Yep.
like that idea.
And speaking of, I talked with Bob, or I messaged him this morning. I said, is there any latest news that we could share from the Legends team that would be interesting to what's going on right now? He did say about the rooms that they have reserved at the 2 hotels attached to the convention center that they recently had to add additional blocks of reservations for the discount on those rooms because they had sold out of their initial blocks, which is really funny. I remember talking to Bob months ago, and they were just wondering. I think like they didn't know how many rooms to block off because you sort of have to commit to a block of rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't get booked, I think there's a liability there. So
Oh,
I'm not sure exactly how that works,
yeah.
but I
I've
remember I
never
just
had to
think
do that. Never had to do
it's
that.
not crystal clear to
Yeah.
me. But he just had to add more. From Bob as well. It looks like I asked him, are there, how many people are accepting their invitations versus backfills? He doesn't have that data, but he said, based on the Legends being tagged on social media, there are, a lot of people taking the invites and a lot from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen different fundraisers that people are doing to help raise money to get over here. Um, Another thing that Bob mentioned was that the teams are being booked up a lot. The team event,
That's
like you
great.
mentioned, that there are tons of teams registered, and I think all of them are capped out, but there's still room in the 45 to 54 plus team division for registrations, which is great. So if you've been waiting on that, I
Mm-hmm.
know you're tied up. I'm tied up. We can't do the team, but there's got to
that's
be
the
some
age
athletes
group.
out there that want
There
to do
you go.
it.
If we
Yeah.
weren't, didn't you say you wanted to
I
do
asked.
both a team and an individual event at the
Oh
same
God, it'd be
weekend?
so much fun.
I think we talked
It'd be
about
so
that
much
during
fun.
Fort Wayne weekend. You wanted to jump in both.
Fort Wayne
Yeah,
would have been great. Oh my gosh.
there was just a little
It
too
is
much
just too
overlap.
much.
Yeah,
Just a little too much overlap. And that's just man, that's just too cocky. Definitely not this year. The competition is way, way, way,
whoa,
way,
yeah,
way, way too hard.
yep,
Let's see. Was there? Oh, 2 other things that
yeah,
um, you know, I'll talk about. Well, I'll hit one, and then we'll linger on a topic. So I've gotten a lot of questions via messages, Instagram, of people asking about the pool situation around the convention center. Is there a pool at the convention center? There's not a pool at the convention center. Like,
right,
imagine your convention center downtown,
yep,
not a pool in that
yep.
place. There
I
are
don't.
pools at there's a college town, so there's pools at campuses around. Certainly, there's also some large bodies of water that I sure could be swam in. Bob is not going to answer anything like that. I didn't even
No.
ask him if there's anything to do with water. So if I was a betting person, I would probably bet the under that we're probably not swimming the first year in a new city. But CrossFit has almost always swim. I would have said that, like, after
Right.
when they moved to Madison, they're probably not going to swim, right? Because they always did the ocean
Mm-hmm.
swim in Madison. Are they going to
Yeah.
swim? And they
There's
swam
no ocean
every
in Madison.
year,
Yeah, they
but
every
one.
year except one. Yeah,
So
maybe not age groups,
there's
but
certainly a chance. Yeah,
individuals. Sir,
but
that's what was.
almost
Yeah, well,
almost
age
every year
groups
in the
too.
age groups.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was shocked
yeah,
last year that the individuals didn't swim. I mean, I
correct.
had as you know, a darn good idea that age groups weren't going to swim last year, but
That's right.
but individuals, they could have been planning
Yeah.
something right back out to the lake.
And I was out. I swam in lakes last year. I swam in pools. I was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely ready, and I'll be ready this year because there's just a chance.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 days of competition. There are so many athletes. There's so many potential opportunities for events. Right, over 4 days, there's a lot that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you swam just last Saturday. Like, I think we're
Mm-hmm.
all going to be ready for swimming.
Yep.
And if we don't have swimming, we're just better swimmers, and that's not a terrible thing.
That's you're just helping make yourself a more well-rounded athlete, male or female.
And
It's a good
we
thing to do.
we swam at MFC.
Yep.
Last year. We swam at Legends.
Right.
So having swimming as part of your tool set, probably a really good idea.
One thing I only experienced though with my time in Madison there was how organized where you had to meet. They put you on a bus and they bust you over, and then they bust you back.
Hmm.
And it was,
Hmm.
and that was pool. I can imagine they might have done that for you as well with the lake, right?
They did.
To get you. Okay.
Yep. You were bust over, bust back.
And that's costly for
Yeah.
some of the competitions that are not the games that have had swimming. It's either been very close to on site, like Granite Games way back in the day. We did like we did get a school bus. Now I think about it, but my point is, my point is they have just said, here, you need to meet at this location. You're responsible for your transportation at this time. Know your heat times. Here's and people by and large make it. We're adults. We can
Yep.
figure things out. So
Yep.
I don't expect first year new city, to dovetail off your comment there. That's costly. Buses and
Hmm.
coordination and timing and drivers and insurance
Yeah.
and all that. Just say, hey, if you're going to do it, show up here. These are when we're swimming.
Right.
Figure it out. Jump in a car,
Yep.
carpool, get a ride, Uber, Lyft, do something like that. Get
Yep.
there. They could do that. So be
Yep.
ready. Lake
I
or
agree.
pool.
I think at MFC we had to. You were my
Yeah, I was your
driver when
driver.
we were
That's
there,
right.
and we
Yeah.
had to drive over for that part.
People didn't miss it
For
just because you had to
No
find
one
your own
missed it.
transportation.
No,
Yeah.
you figure it out. It's no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
So there is there's a big park. I think it's called Oak Mountain, and there's a big a lake there where people do open water swimming. So that's where everyone here has told me, in the summer, we'll go down to Oak Mountain Park. I think that's what it's called, and we'll do some swimming. And I'm like, that sounds good to me. So I'll be ready for the open water. I'll be ready for a pool. All day I prefer a pool, guys.
Well,
But
yeah, me too. UAB is
open
right
water.
there. I see how close
Yeah.
UAB is on the map.
Yeah.
They're in school. Obviously, the school year started, but Legends
Yeah.
proved that you can have a very large competition happening while college is going on out at Arizona
No
State.
big deal.
So
They did
it's
it.
not a big.
The other thing that I was thinking was, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought on that. Well, it doesn't matter. We could be bust. We could drive. Regardless, we'll be ready. We'll be ready.
Yeah.
That's
No,
ready for swim just in case.
I do want to ask you what you did this weekend, but I will tell you, long story of, hey, Birmingham Southern, the school that you now know know is in the news. Now that they're closed, do they have a pool? Maybe they're not using it anymore since school is out.
I have no idea.
It's right there.
No idea.
Let's go look at that.
Oh, I was gonna say this. Rick, I remember in 2023, out at the games in Madison. So in 2022, or no, it's 2021 when you and I were out there.
No,
and we heard about this. 2022, yeah, we heard about the swim. We went to that venue and actually practiced swimming, which was very, very cool. And then the next year, I remember, I wasn't with you because you couldn't share anything, but I went to the school website and I was trying to check out if there were any events that weekend at that pool
at the
of the
natatorium
CrossFit
there.
Games, right? Are we going back to that pool? And I saw there was other events happening at the pool that weekend, or that it was open all weekend. And I was like, wow, okay, so we're not going to be at the pool. That's what we know. We're not going to be at that pool.
You did a little homework. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I checked it. I was trying to see if there was. So that could be, if someone was so interested, they could probably check the pool schedules at large college pools.
Yep.
On that weekend.
Yep.
If the pool is open,
University
I bet
of
we're not
Alabama,
swimming
Birmingham. There.
Yeah.
Yep.
If the pool is closed for a private event, then please tell everyone to share that. If you find any intel,
who would do the intel with the permits being pulled in Madison?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody figured out that there was going to be a run through the streets for the Capitol event because they could go to
the
Madison's municipal site and see that the permits have been pulled by CrossFit LLC or something months in advance. So somebody does some digging. Somebody will figure it out. I'm sure they're doing that right now for Fort Worth.
I'm sure they are.
All that out. Yeah.
Would love that person to zone in on Birmingham, because honestly, I know that for all of us, like, if we need to swim, please tell us. And I mean, honestly, I would love for the event organizers. If there was anything that would be so nice, it would just, of course, it's the known and the unknowable. That's CrossFit, and that's totally fine. but it also just saves so much time if you know you're not swimming. Like I am gonna run. Of course, I'm gonna row. I'm gonna use the ski erg and the echo bike. I'm gonna do box jumps and wall balls. I'm gonna do all the things in CrossFit. But if we're gonna get on a bicycle, like, give me a heads up. I'd
Yeah.
love to know if we're gonna use an element that, like, okay. I mean, I remember when the CrossFitters did not know how to change gears on a bicycle
Sure.
for like their first time,
The
doing
crit or whatever. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whatever. Like, they didn't know
It
how
was
to
a
ride that
disaster.
was it was
There
a
were
mess.
there were
Like,
a number of
I know how
accidents.
to
Yeah.
ride a bike, but I want to know if we're mountain biking. I want to, like, talk to mountain bikers and learn how to do that really well. Um, anyway, I don't think we're mountain biking. I don't think we're doing that kind of stuff. But
Sheer
it would be
number of
great to know, like, hey, if
athletes.
we're gonna
Yeah.
swim, it'd be nice to know if we're doing that. But
Hey, so yeah, what
we're
did
gonna
you what
roll
did
with
you
it.
do this weekend? Because I
Oh,
trained.
so this weekend,
Ah,
for the first
so
time, I didn't train, and
somebody
that
had
was
something
frustrating.
else going on, which was pretty cool.
I drove all the way up to Knoxville, all the way. It's 4 hours, and got to watch the semifinals in person for the North America East.
North America East.
And
Yeah.
I tell you, man, it was it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Like, as a
It
fan of the
looked it.
sport, there were just races. I mean, Sunday was race after race after race. It was so much fun in that sense. Saturday, I actually didn't get there. I only got to see one event Saturday, and it was still great. I don't even remember what the event was. Um, doesn't matter. But it was so much fun. So, a couple of things I noticed up there. The crowd was much larger than what we saw on the West Coast. So, larger
Ah,
crowd.
interesting.
Definitely not sold out. There was
Sure.
plenty
That's a
of
big
room
arena.
to move around.
Yeah, it's a big
It's a
arena.
big arena, but there were a lot of people there, so it got really noisy. And during some of the races, people are standing up, therefore the whole crowd is standing up, and that's
hmm
very CrossFit Games like.
Yeah.
Everyone's standing up to watch the final thing happen, uh,
I
or
love
the last part of the race.
the crowd reaction. Now you could tell me because you were there Sunday, but not probably from the video that I watched, it wasn't a lot of noise on the row handstand walk until the first judge's hand went up, and then the noise
Yes.
starts. And because
Oh
here
yeah.
comes so and so, or and then all the judges' hands go up at the same time, and you just knew it
Yes.
was going to be. We got that sense from
And
watching it, how cool that was
yeah,
in person.
and you were in person. It was that you were just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then
And then
yeah, you're like,
boom.
I mean, an example would be like Haley Adams. Like,
Oh
she
yeah.
started to
Yes.
break away a little bit on that, but you're like, man, can she keep up this row against Tia?
And in the
You're
stands
just like,
or on video, you can't tell where they are until
no,
that hand goes up.
and in person, it was you just seeing them all work. And again, but Tia, I mean, Haley's judge's hand goes up, crowd is excited.
Yep.
Then Tia's hand goes up, then Emma's hand goes up, whoever was next, and then they start racing down on their hands. I will tell you, since we're talking about Haley Adams, she was the crowd favorite by
Interesting.
far.
Interesting.
By far. And it was actually, I mean, honestly, it was emotional. I felt it as well. To see her back on the floor, to
Right.
be happy, smiling. She was emotional every time she crossed a finish line. She was even humorous on social media, because she really she went yard sale on the double unders, right? You couldn't see that on the, I don't know how much
Right.
the video showed, the stream showed. She just couldn't do double unders. They were taxing her tremendously, which ended up causing her to struggle on front squats because the double unders were all messed up, right?
The camera
And
didn't follow her once she fell back.
no,
And so you could only
no,
see
so
her
no one knew.
when they would pan back, or Tia was walking back to the rope or something, and then she was still in
Right.
frame, still doing double unders. I'm
Right.
like, what's going on back there?
Like,
Yeah.
what is going on back
Yeah.
there? And you didn't know, so the front squats were heavy for her, but it was because of the fatigue from the double unders. They were just a mess. But afterwards, she posted on social media, just in a story, she said, if anybody out there is struggling with double unders, hit me up. Which was, I thought,
Okay.
it's very humorous, right?
So her
She could
message
laugh
is
about it,
Yep.
and and then what was funny is that I did bump into her coaches at Whole Foods that night, and that was super fun, just to chat with them for a couple of minutes
Mhm.
about how proud they were of her, who she's become, her performance this last year. And I got to be a spectator and just share with them how exciting it was for me to see her back out there. Um, and what seems to be a very uh, positive really experience all
Right.
around for her. So, but I'll tell you what, whenever she crossed the finish line, whether it was first or third, or I mean, the one where she was 35th place, that was not something that she was super excited about for sure. But the crowd was enormous for her. There were, pink shirts. She had a whole pink shirt fan group of
Okay.
family and friends over there. They all had lightsabers,
Yeah,
so
the
it
Star
almost
Wars
feels like
thing.
a
Yeah.
soccer game. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really really exciting, and she was. I mean, it was fun, but when she got announced as sixth or seventh place or whatever, I mean, the cheers were just astronomical.
Yeah,
And
good
good
for
for her.
her.
Good for her
Yep, good
to
for
be able
her.
to come back, work her way back into it, and do it. But that was that. The other races, I mean, I'll tell you, when Dallin Pepper got a couple of no reps on the box jump overs,
Yeah.
obviously in the stands, we don't know why he's getting
Mhm.
no reps. We can't see that his hands are still touching the box. His judge is probably doing the right thing, but he won the race except for the no reps. And then he's got to race against Krennikov on that last round, and then they're running across the finish line, and of course all we see is the up on the screen that Roman won by a couple of milliseconds. And of course,
Yeah.
after the fact was there's a whole slew of different kind of no reps in there, but in person it was still a very exciting race. It's like a football game. You're watching dudes just
It's
do crazy things to get to a finish line or an end zone, right?
and real time
Yeah.
split second calls.
Yep.
And boy, there's a lot of videos out there. Don't have to go to that detail, but
Yep.
of no reps on muscle ups and certainly the box jumps. And for 3 weeks we saw front squat depth
Yep.
or squat
Yep.
snatch depth. I mean, these are
Yep.
these the Association of Fitness Judges. I mean, they're doing a good job. It's a thankless job,
Yeah.
but look, there's not a science to it. Major League
No.
Baseball is still refusing their it'll happen, but they're not going to use an automatic strike zone, which is being used in the minor leagues right now.
Right.
Major League Baseball is still saying, hey, look, the technology's out there, but this is a game that's called with eyes from our umpiring crew. So, I mean,
Right.
umpires make mistakes. Lord knows NFL referees make mistakes. If you're a fan of a team, you can list 10 examples of how we got screwed out of this game. CrossFit judges are doing their best too. So you just
and they are
and you as an athlete are trying to move fast, and I'm going to move fast until I get told no rep.
Right.
So
and I can't. I mean, I'll tell you, I was sitting with a group of people, and none of us saw Roman jump off.
no,
Right.
no.
We're watching it. We didn't even see it happen. Of course, it was crystal clear. And anyway, if it would have mattered in the end result, then we could really get hot about it, like we do with our football teams when there's a pass interference call that blows the whole game, right?
Yep.
It didn't blow the whole game.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't blow the whole game. And Dallin is a funny guy. He's got a strong sense of humor, and he egged Krennikov on in the interview afterwards, like, hey, there's another machine coming. And then when he won the event with that machine, he walks by and points to Roman, which was just fun and playful. That's great. So
the personalities I think shined more in this semifinal than maybe some of the others. What I might say is in Australia, where you had the three that were head and shoulders above everybody else, they were going back and forth a lot too, and they're all buddies. And I mean that where it could bring out some of the personalities, and the crowd was into it. But the personalities shined in North America East, both on the male and female side. It was a great way to wrap up semifinals weeks.
Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you did 30 calories on the Echo Bike? 30 calories for time.
Yeah,
I mean, never, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we don't.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. But I can have an idea of where I would be, and I don't know how those guys.
I'll tell you, I watched it on TV. Of course, I watched I watched a lot of the other events, especially that one because it was so much fun. Unless you're in person, you don't get the feel of how fast those guys, especially the girls too. I mean, honestly, the girls are beating you and me.
Absolutely.
They're beating us off so we'll just give them the credit where credit's
10
due.
times.
Just take it, ladies. But I mean, my gosh, Luke Parker, he did 30 calories into like 24 seconds.
Right.
And I'm watching Luke. I know Luke, and I'm like, Luke, what are you
No,
doing,
don't
man?
do that. Don't do that.
This is not a good idea. He gets up there and uh, he starts busting through the ring muscle ups, and he does okay. I
I
think he
know it
breaks them up,
happens.
but oh, dude, there
But
wasn't one
he
person.
failed the 15th rep. He
He
failed the
did.
15th
It
ring
was
muscle up.
brutal.
Yes.
I was like, in my mind, I was like, he could have just cost himself the whole games right there.
Right.
15th rep. The fact that he got up and could do it again was pretty impressive. There was nobody that I know of in the entire competition, at least in the East, that got off the bike first and won the event. Although Dallin hammered the bike,
Mm-hmm.
hammered the ring muscle ups, and hammered the lunge. He was a machine. And I remember watching, because he got off in probably 30, 32 seconds, and I was like, Dallin, can you do this? I've trained with Dallin, and he's impressive. He is just an amazing. His ring muscle ups are the smoothest ring muscle ups around, and he's just amazing. And he gets on the dumbbells. I'm like, oh man, anybody who got to the dumbbells really early, I was just so worried for them, and I was feeling all of their anxiety. Right? Oh, he just hammered it down.
Fifth for the men is a very doable amount. For the ladies, I think they
Yes.
were strategic and broke a couple. Broke at least
Correct.
once because they knew what was ahead of them with the lunging. The 70s for them were heavy. And the ladies' times were really good. It's just his way how you were going to attack that workout. The men, it had to be unbroken, everything.
Had to be unbroken.
Some of the winners, though, did break the lunge in some of their semifinals, some of the regions.
Yes.
Not everybody went unbroken and won the. Yeah, you could take if you were far enough out, you could take a strategic break, drop the dumbbells, pick them back up, and finish.
I ran into Chris Hinshaw when I was out there. I chatted with him for a little bit, and it's just funny. When you talk with Chris Hinshaw, there's not a lot of like, how you been? Kind of. There's no warm up. All of a sudden, we're talking about how hard the walking lunges are, and then we're talking at deep levels about the fatigue levels that you experience when you get to walking lunges. This is literally where Chris and I start talking. We start there. This was before the event. We're just getting ready to watch this event, and he said he had talked to so many athletes in prior competitions, and they said the walking lunge is hard, but it doesn't really get their grip until they get about 3/4 of the way down. And at 3/4 of the way down, it becomes incredibly unbearable. And if they can make it, they should go for it. I mean, if they're close, they should go for it to try to get it done. If they set it down, it doesn't get better. This is what he was saying.
Interesting.
He said the relief, you saw that when they failed on that last length, they didn't just stop, pick up 2 dumbbells, and take them back. Like, they would drag one at a time.
Right.
It was the most awkward looking thing. Like, what are you doing,
somebody
Brett
was trying to
Petrowski?
roll it with their foot. I forget who did that. They were pushing it with their foot across the line.
And we're just, I didn't understand it, but the reality is they have none. Their grip, they can't even pick up and some of them would pick them up one at a time to move them back. And I was rooting for a friend of mine, Tyler Christoffel. Certainly just a great guy, and he was just right on the line the whole time. And he got to that last event, he set down his dumbbells and picked them up. He set about halfway, picked them up. He was very much on a steady course. I could just tell he was methodical. This is how he's going to approach this event. He actually broke up the ring muscle ups, but it was controlled. Everything was good. He set down the dumbbells, took like 3 or 4 lunge steps, and the judge sent him back to the line. And I don't know what happened, but he got sent back. So he had to go back, reset. Now he's got extra fatigue. And he gets maybe one more line to the next cutoff, has to set him down. It cost him a minute extra having to go back.
And then is the
difference.
difference.
He's out. It was, and he ended up getting 14th or something.
Top 11.
He was just such a good dude, but he's
11 men,
top 11
women.
made it.
Yeah.
And it was really close to the top. There were so many times that snuck in between him. I feel for him. He's a good dude. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He'll be fine in life. But wanted to see him make it. Just get there one. He's 34 as well. So I guess I'll have to encourage him. Like, okay, Tyler, hey buddy, we got a whole thing over here on the Masters side. We
Yes.
welcome you with open arms. Come
And
on over
more
and
than
crush it.
capable of crushing the 35 to
Let's
39.
do it. Will Morad, actually, there's other story out there. Will Morad, who
Mhm.
took first in the 35 to 39
Right.
age group for Masters, he dropped out after the second event out there,
Mhm.
apparently with a hip injury.
Mhm.
So hopefully he's okay, and I hope he accepts his invite and is recovered for the Masters CrossFit Games. It'd be great to see him out there,
Mhm.
but
If
I
you
don't know more than that.
you mentioned quite a lot of mayhem athletes. If you want a funny recap of Luke Parker's uh, 30 calories and oh
Yeah.
no, listen to Rich's podcast this week. They dissect that, and they talk a lot about teams, which brought up some interesting points with regards to programming. So if you geek out on programming, everybody watched semifinals. Some probably watched teams a little closer if you knew somebody or were supporting a team. There were some good points brought up in this that are worth listening to, but the point that really got me smiling and laughing a little bit was Rich's reaction to Luke's 30 calories in 20 some seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Find it this week. It's entertaining. You have to listen to it a
That
little
I'm
bit, but
sure
it's
it
good.
is.
It's good.
I've seen them have banter with each other,
Oh yeah.
and they're humorous. They're very humorous, and I could see that. So um, I'm just boy, I'm glad that it didn't cost Luke, because it was.
Mhm.
I haven't listened to the podcast, but I imagine that they were having quite the chuckle about his just going ham on that thing.
Yeah.
Because it was not a correct move for sure.
Not what was talked about or thought
Not
through.
at all. I'm sure not. I'm sure. Okay, that's fun. I mean, I
Yeah.
enjoy that kind of entertainment. I did have a special opportunity
Right.
to go up into the broadcast booth during a team event at the end of the day on Saturday, and jump in with Sean and Adrian, and that was, man, Rick, that was super fun. And I will tell you this:
That's awesome. I'd
Adrian
love to have done that.
reached out to me, and he asked me if I was going to be out there. I was like, yes. He's like, would you like to come in the booth with us at this time? And I was like, yes, that would be so fun. I would love to do that. So I committed to it. And then as I was driving out there, and while I'm watching the one event before I go up to hang out at a specific time to go be up there, I was nervous. Man, I was nervous.
More nervous than
It-
self, or
I don't know.
or different nervous. That's
It's
interesting
different.
because
It was there was some performance anxiety. I guess it was
okay,
similar to going
all right,
onto a competition
yeah,
floor.
interesting.
This one was even less familiar, though. Like, I've never
Right.
done that, and it was during a team event. So I don't have a ton of team experience. So I want to. I don't want to be. I don't want to be not knowledgeable. I don't want to come across as if I know something. And what was really cool is I got up there. Sean gives me this big old hug. So when Sean Woodland gives you a hug, like, that's a good thing. And Sean and I, we chat offline quite a bit, and it's just such a great guy. So Adrian and we spent time on a podcast together. So I feel like I've gotten to know these guys a little bit one on one, which made that much more comfortable.
Right. You were
They
not
got me
coming
there. I
in
got the head.
completely cold.
No, and so I've had these headphones on. I got the microphone on. I'm sure you might have seen some of those behind the scenes of what they look like, and I got to see how they operate back there. And we talked for like 5 minutes, and then before they're going on the broadcast, they are doing all these notes on paper. Adrian's over here jotting down names. Sean has got pictures on the screen of different athletes. So when you have a team, and he says, team. I don't know, name a team. Team Peak 360.
Peak 360. Sure.
He probably knows all the names of those athletes, right? They're pretty famous. But maybe the team in Heat 2, Lane 9, he is looking at his sheet while he's describing, let's just call them the Denver. I don't know, the Denver CrossFitters. What are the Denver CrossFitters in Lane 8? And boy, you've got the team leader, John Smith, because he pulls up on his computer 4 pictures of that team.
Captains
and
listed
so he's
there. Yeah.
Yes, and he's looking at the picture, looking out there. I could tell he's trying to determine who is who, so that he can say someone's name who's not on the Mayhem team or not Peak 360, so that he can make he can make one person's entire year because Sean Woodland said his name. And
Right.
it's just
That's
amazing
a
the
talent though
workload.
that has been
Yes.
crafted over the, think of the number, it came from broadcasting, but think of the number of
Yes.
of events he's done over the years. I'm sure he would tell you probably rough starting out, you learn, and the craft
Yep.
has to be practiced.
Yep.
Tell me, when you saw the behind the scenes or you saw how much work went into it, that's not a small endeavor. And so when we ask for live streaming or broadcasting of age group masters, whatnot, we know that there's a cost that goes into it, but it's an elaborate presentation. I mean,
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah. It's elaborate. I mean, they have a truck there with the team in the truck. They have what, 6, 8 different cameras all
Yeah.
happening at one time. They've got 2 in the booth, 1 person on the floor. You could hear when you have the headphones on, in one of your ears, you hear a controller
Mm-hmm.
counting down from 30, 20, 10 to the broadcast is on. While Sean is talking, okay, he's calling the actual event. Then Adrian will be talking. Adrian will be talking about, more the technique of the movements and stuff like that. You can
Color.
hear
Yep.
the producer talking to Sean, like,
Oh.
Sean, add number 3. And so Sean flips these note cards over to add number 3, and it's the, sign up at whatever.com to get your CrossFit World Tour. So he does that.
Those reads were right in the
Yes,
middle of the broad. That's right, and they would put the little logo
right in
or
the middle. So he's
on the screen. Yeah.
Yep. So he just flips the cards to add number 3. He reads it, and he gets back to commentating and announcing. And then Adrian's talking, and then Sean's got another. I hear it in my ear. Sean, da da da. So while Sean's doing that, I'm like just amazed by this. And then all of a sudden, Adrian's talking to me. So now I've got to respond to
Oh,
Adrian.
did you
Like,
just ask me a question?
Oh my God!
Can
There's
you
so
repeat that,
much
please?
stuff to do, and there's words that you're trying to. I mean, I just naturally you try to minimize and
Sure.
and so you try to minimize all of that and be brief, because they're really, it's almost like they're handing a baton back and forth.
Correct.
Right? Like when Adrian's got the baton, Sean is preparing what he's going to say next. The baton goes back to Adrian. This is all not a real baton, but then Sean is commentating and talking and talking. Then there's a pause, and there's a natural flow to Adrian, and there's a natural flow to me. And I could tell that, like, I could tell Sean's ready. And so I would wrap up what I'm saying because Sean
Back
is
to
ready
him.
for something.
Yeah.
And so it's almost also, it makes me think of like the synergy of a basketball team. Like, I know the guy's going up for the slam dunk, and I just have to pass it over to him, but it's not, we didn't look at each other. There's just a sense that this is what's happening next. And you just kind of toss the ball in that direction and it happens. And then, so there's a real nice flow to it. But all this to say that it was super smooth. It's a huge production. So to your point, it's very orchestrated, very organized. This isn't just something that anyone's whipping together on their iPhones.
Right.
At the same time all this is happening, I am sweating down my back profusely.
Sure. Yeah.
I finished after 15 minutes back there, and I walked down. I was like, I need a shower. Oh my gosh, I gotta go. I gotta get some like recovery going immediately. Go get in the ice barrels because I just got all
do I have a
worked up.
coach's pass? Can I go back to the athlete area, please?
Oh my God, I need a cool
last
down.
point
Let me
is
get on a bike.
Adrian and Sean have a working relationship. Sean and Chase, or Bill and Chase, or they have worked together. What was interesting this whole weekend was there was the you person involved. They almost always had somebody else in the booth.
Yes.
I heard Tasia a couple times. Who else did?
Scott Panchik.
Scott Panchik was on. Yes, those people are not used to working with. The announcer. I'm not used to working with the flow. You sounded good. I knew you were going to be on. Listened to you. I mean, the flow went well. But when you're not, when you haven't practiced, going back to your basketball reference, you haven't practiced, you'll look out of sync. You'll feel out of sync.
Yes.
So kudos to those guys for pulling in rookies off the street all weekend long and turning it into a rather seamless production, because I think it came off well.
Adrian was really good at talking and then shifting to the guest. I mean, he asked me, at one point about, my experience on a team, which I had a team experience this year. So I was able to talk about my experience, not try to provide tremendous knowledge. Just this was my experience. And I imagine that teams do this in general, but that's what I experienced, and that it was. I mean, I had a great time being on a team, and certainly want to do that many more times. And then also, it's really interesting. I was thinking about the team event that they were doing. It was the team final, and it was bar muscle ups, and it was burpees over the worm, and then
Oh,
worm
yeah.
cleans over
Yep.
that
Clean and jerks.
over, and then the
Yep.
other side, and then they had the lunge with it. If we did that as an individual workout, it's like sandbag cleans, burpees over the sandbag, and then sandbag lunges on your shoulder. That is gnarly. And so
Hmm.
when they are gasping out there in pain, I just there wasn't a lot of interval rest. Like in some of the team events, it's like, hey, while they're going, I get to breathe, and the only time they got to breathe was while the other partner team was doing 5 bar muscle ups, and that's really not much time at all. The
Correct.
rest of the time, they are all working, and it was relentless at the end. And I just think if that was an individual event, we would have looked just like that. Like the bar muscle ups actually would have been kind of a challenge because everything else was so intense,
Taxing.
so
Yeah,
very
taxing.
challenging. So a
Um,
lot of respect to those guys.
there weren't a lot of places to hide. In like event one, that was all that individual work. You had to do a bunch of wall facing handstand push-ups and calories on the echo bike, and I forget what the other movement was. But when one person was working, the three were not working, but they were holding the worm. I mean, tell me
Right.
that's not taxing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
having all that weight just sitting on you while your teammates out there up against the wall pressing out handstand push-ups left, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
So
It's no
very
joke.
rarely do you get a true break or a true breather.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was semifinals was great. Walking through the vendor area, there were some brands out there that was kind of fun. Um, I wouldn't say it was. I mean, it wasn't overwhelming with the amount of vendors that were there, but it didn't feel sparse.
Hmm.
So it felt good. I don't know what to compare it to compared to any other semifinals, but it was fun to walk through, see a lot of people that I knew, and yeah,
I,
good
I'm
experience.
I'm just glad
Knoxville's pretty.
people showed up, because after
They did.
the stands that we saw, now again, neither one of us were there on the floor in Carson the
Yeah.
week prior, but it was certainly a buzz in the community, and it was a little
Yeah.
disappointing. Maybe it was the positioning of the cameras. We talked about it, but
Yeah.
to have Knoxville on video appear to be good and in person,
Yeah.
uh, it was good. Good
And it's
experience.
an easy town. I mean, I parked on the street on
See?
Sunday at
Yeah.
a meter. It's the kind of town where there's enough space I could just park there. I mean, there's a parking garage across the street for $10, and
Right.
imagine parking in LA was $50.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
there's just a
you're in LA. It's a different. I know you're in Carson, and I've been out there.
yep.
It's granted, it's not downtown or anything. But
No.
you're lost. It's
Yeah.
a tiny little place. It's on a college campus. Crying out loud.
And everywhere I went in Knoxville, I ran into CrossFitters or people that I knew. So
Mm-hmm.
whether I was at the Whole Foods or at the hotel, and at lunch, wherever I was at, I was running into people that we'd all do a second look at each other and just be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
hi, you're a CrossFitter, obviously." Like we all have a look, and you would recognize someone. So yeah, that was semifinals for us. It was semifinals for the individuals. That is wrapped up. Really fun experience, and now onward to the games, the long road for them and for us.
Game.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
everybody has a field set. Teenagers, individuals, teams,
Yep.
and masters, and adaptives.
Yep. One update that we didn't touch on, but it's something that is apparently coming. I know that I had asked you last week about any of the 50 to 54-year-olds in your age group. Did you guys have a lot of movement on your leaderboard during the video review
Mm-hmm.
process? And it appeared that there wasn't a lot of movement in my age group. It was very, very minimal movement. And I had been receiving a lot of messages that a lot of athletes felt like there was not much movement. And so feeling like there's not much movement and there actually being not much movement is challenging. So
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to dig in on the data on this thing. And so I actually asked you, I think you
Mm-hmm.
told me that there was a
Yep.
number of
I
people
think.
who had penalties
Yep.
and movement in your age group. Um, I know of a few in my age group. I was looking at the data that I had and reached out to a number of athletes to see if the discrepancies between the two different pieces of data that I had, that when videos were submitted versus the final numbers, and there were a few out there that had penalties. There were also a few, according to my data, that I reached out and said, "Did you have a penalty?" They're like, "No, I didn't have a penalty." And then I found other things in the data that said, "Oh yeah, that's right, they did not have a penalty."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what it looked like is it looked as if there was very few penalties, and given the amount of penalties that we've seen in previous years, movement that we've seen in previous years, it felt like, gosh, I wish we really knew. So this was last week, and I actually reached out to Bob
Mm-hmm.
over at Legends. And again, Bob and Joe have no connection to the video review process this year. Maybe that'll change in the future,
Mm-hmm.
but that is
Right.
100% on CrossFit to complete the video review process, send out invites, and that's just the way it is. The way their arrangement is at this point, they have nothing to do with video review, so it's all on CrossFit. And I just reached out to Bob. I said, Bob, I I'm hearing so much from so many people. There's just not much movement. Do you have anything on this?
Right.
And he said I'm sure CrossFit's doing a full video review process. It's not in our hands, but I've been pushing CrossFit. He's been encouraging CrossFit to publish the penalties, because CrossFit will do that.
Mm-hmm.
With
Absolutely, they will.
I don't know if they'll do
Yeah.
that every year, but they'll publish the
Uh-huh.
penalties so that it's just there's transparency across the board.
Right.
And so I was pushing Bob a little bit that day to see if he'd gotten anything back from CrossFit, and he said that they had committed to sharing in some form or fashion the penalties that were given out for the age group athletes. So
Okay.
it's not out yet. I checked with Bob; it's not been released yet, but it is coming. And so I think for those of us in the Masters world that were wondering, did they really look at our videos? Did they really review video
Mm-hmm.
3? I got video 3 and video 2 verified. So that's good.
Yeah. And I only
You
had
had
one.
one video,
I only had video 3.
yeah,
Right.
which is like, why did I have video 2 reviewed?
Right.
And I know
Exactly.
someone in my age group that had an issue with a video
Mm-hmm.
on workout 2 that disqualified him out. Like, he got a
Right.
0
Right.
and got out. But most people received review on workout 3. So I don't know why video
Primaries.
2 or workout 2 was viewed for some of us and not others. But I know most people that received a penalty, not a video issue, but a penalty, it was on 3,
Correct.
as far as I know. That's that's
Either
consistent with what you
either
got.
the squatting or the lockout on the muscle ups. There's two
Yeah,
very I believe you could call them easily judged movements. I think ring
yeah.
muscle ups, depending on the camera angle.
They're
Remember, they
tougher.
did not tell you where to put the camera.
Yeah,
I take that
yeah,
back. Front squats, it's pretty black and white.
yeah.
So
Agreed. I think front squats are really black and white. You could get weird with a camera angle or wear the wrong shorts, and that would be on you.
yeah.
I think it's on us always to make it as clear as absolutely possible for the judge that's on the other side of the camera in their office,
Mm-hmm.
reviewing videos. You just got to make it clear for them. But I think those are two movements where if people do make errors, it can actually change the speed of their workout. If you
Right.
don't lock out a ring muscle up versus don't versus do, it's a different movement, and I don't think it's fair if you don't get a good lockout. So I think I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that they are committed, at least in some way, to being really transparent about that. So for
Let's
those of us that are wondering,
let's wait for the
it'll be nice
list.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We look
Good.
forward to it. One
Now,
last. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say next year, I wouldn't be opposed to this, and I don't think you would be either. I don't think there's any major privacy issues, but if all of the videos were required to be public in some way,
Mhm.
right? If there's going to be transparency, just make it transparent all around. Maybe that would cause way more problems. I in order to be transparent, last week I almost made all of my videos public just for fun. Like,
Mhm.
hey, let's just make all of our videos public. All of us
Right.
masters, let's just do it.
Right.
And I was like, well, what does that do now? It doesn't do anything now. So
Correct.
I'm not going to make any dramatic moves like that. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope they release that, and then it just takes the questions out of it.
When you're not judged an affiliate, like in the open, you have to
Yes.
have, and the video link is right there. That would be you
Be the
know,
best.
to have the community judge, but it would be out there for viewing. And then it's
Yes.
incumbent upon CrossFit, since all the videos are out there, to
Yep.
pick a workout, to pick a top number of competitors, the top 30 females, top 30 males in workout 3 or whatever like that, and do that. But then at least it's out there. But
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. You know, if
Yep.
you go to a live
Yep.
competition, your movements are on display for everybody. So why shouldn't your
Right.
qualifying movements be on display for everybody? I mean,
Agreed.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to
Agreed.
go out there on the floor wherever I'm going, any of these competitions, and I'm going to squat. Boy, if somebody's
Yeah.
out there in the stands yelling, "Hey, he's not going low enough," you know, it's incumbent upon my judge to tell me,
Right.
yeah, hey, go low enough. Somebody could be correcting me on the floor like that.
I mean, it'd be great if you could have that
Yeah.
you have like a yellow flag. Someone could throw a flag on the
Yeah.
play, you know.
Somebody from my own gym.
Throwing-
Hey,
From your own
Stevenson,
gym, yeah.
go lower. Come on. Told you.
Throwing a flag at you. They could shoot you with an airsoft gun or bullet, like a little a pellet. Like, hey, for every
Yep.
rep you don't get low enough on, you're gonna get a little stinger in the shoulder or something.
That's how we
Just a
train.
reminder.
No. And
wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh,
You got a
gosh.
sniper up in the crow's
Oh,
nest, you know, like you don't get
Ow.
deep enough and you are going to get
airsoft.
a little
I'm telling you.
airsoft.
Yeah, a little airsoft gun.
And I have that in mind. I'll tell you why. My Henry, my 11-year-old, he his birthday was yesterday and we got him an airsoft gun. Like, how fun is that?
Yeah.
But it's more fun if there's two.
Oh boy.
So we did get two, and so he and I this afternoon, my warm up for session 2 was having a little airsoft, player versus player battle with him. Those little things, they can sting. Like,
Yeah.
they get you, they sting. But
plunk ya.
were up. I mean, we're in the forest, and these are semi-automatic. It's electric, man. We were just. It was great. We had so much fun. We discovered poison ivy, so we do have it. It's here. In case anyone was wondering, we have. And you want to know what it looks like? It looks like every other plant in the forest. It doesn't. It looks just the same as everything. So
this
that's
is
what
your
we determined.
first growing season up there. That's right. Yeah. Your first June.
First June, and poison ivy looks like every other plant. So now we just go out in our full jeans. We also had sweatshirts and hoodies on with hats and safety glasses. So we're doing this in 90-degree, 100% humidity. So I drenched a sweatshirt.
Well, that's a
warming up for my workout. It was the best. It was so much fun. But I maybe I'll take it to the gym and I'll snap some people who don't squat low enough. I don't know. Keep an eye out, Lauren, Josh.
There's positive reinforcement, and then there's Jason's reinforcement.
Can't imagine. That's why I can't judge a workout. I don't want to be a judge. It's too hard. Like
it's
to be able to give
really
no reps. It's
I
very tough.
guess I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem telling someone no rep. What I have a problem of is catching the movement quick enough.
Yes.
Like, am I right?
Yes.
To make this call?
Yeah.
Like it's things happen
Agreed.
fast. I know that's tough.
They do.
One last thing I was going to say, speaking of competitions, is we are in the middle of Masters Fitness Championship qualifier, June 1st through 9th. Our friends out at Fort Wayne have put on, from a social media perspective, a very complete and thorough list of the workouts, scorecards, video descriptions. I think HQ could actually learn a little bit from some of their descriptions. I mean, it's pretty darn clear. Most of them are pretty clear. So there are 4 tests, 5 scores. Excited to do that. That is in the last weekend of September in Fort Wayne again. It's year 5. So for them, they're celebrating. They're trying to really push 5th year, same venue. And we think it's only gotten better each year. It's grown. Invictus is involved again. I think they're not the sponsor, but the programmer this year. So there's a lot of Invictus name on all of the workout descriptions and such. So they're good tests. They're fair. You can still sign up. I think the first 2 scores are due tomorrow, I believe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So hurry up, sign up.
Well, I did workout 2 with Lauren at the gym today,
Mm-hmm.
and underestimated it. It was harder than I thought.
Oh,
Was it workout 2?
No, it was
With the
workout
shuttle
1.
runs?
Mighty 8.
That's workout 1.
Mighty 8.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
8-minute AMRAP. You got 10 shuttle runs, 15 shoulder to overhead, 20 toes to bar.
Yep.
Yep. Shoulder to overhead with dumbbells. That was, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an easy 4 rounds. You just, but shuttle runs just take time.
They do.
The first round was very fast, and then it slowed down. So, toes to bar were fine. Shoulder overhead were fine, but shuttle runs. It is a shuttle run workout. Actually, what it felt down
really
when it came
is.
down to it.
It really is.
So
the shoulder to overhead were much easier than I thought they were going to be. I thought I just you just knock them out. I just don't run shuttle runs as fast as I think you needed to.
But man, I can run the first 10. The first 10 I can run fast, and then round 2 I'm like, wow, I can't. These shuttle runs, I'm really tired now.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I looked at all the tests. I created a strategy video for our athletes, and I think that I think they're really fair. It's a really fair test. I like all 4 of them. They take video review very seriously there. I know that you had questions about a standard on the dumbbell for the box step overs, and they were responsive.
They were.
I know that Lauren at my gym, she had a question about her video. Actually, it was counting down on WE time instead of counting up, and she wanted to make sure that it would be okay. So she actually sent the video to them. It's very early. She can retest it. It's no problem. But she just wanted to get in front of it. And they said, your video is going to be fine. Go ahead and submit that. So it's not the standard, but like any competition, if there's any questions, just get those in early out of the way.
Don't wait till the last minute.
Don't wait till the last minute. And don't wait till after a deadline. Just ask them. They're super responsive. I've actually talked with their judging team. And like I said, they take online competition very seriously. They do video review. And it's a big deal for them. So very, very cool. You and I had a great time out of that competition last year. If I'm not competing there, I don't have September is insanely busy,
right?
But I would love to get out there and be a part of it again this year in some way. But we'll have to see when that time comes.
4 years. I want to make it 5. I've really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed that
one way or another.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Well, Rick, we I remember when we got on the call here earlier, thinking like, what should we talk about today?
Yeah,
we filled it, and we didn't even talk on a couple of things. So we'll save some other stuff for next time.
People are tired.
And any updates that we have, we'll share additional information. Anytime we get it, any news we have, we'll share next week. But for now, Rick, thanks for coming on. All right, man. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Masters in Motion podcast. We'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older.